What is going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here for another Tottenham update. And there's been quite a bit going on in the last 24 hours regarding Tottenham news. So let's just get straight into it. And let's start off with talking about Yves Bissouma, as the Footy Insider says that Bissouma is keen to finalise a transfer to Juventus after Tottenham offered the midfielder to them and various other clubs around Europe. I mean, I'm sure he is keen to join Juventus.
Yeah, and I'm sure Tottenham are keen to get rid of him as well. We know he's got 1 year left on his deal. We know Bissouma obviously had a good end to the season, but with the fact that his contract's running out and the fact that he's been inconsistent, we know we want to sell. It's about getting the right fee. I'm sure Tottenham aren't going to be holding out for a mega fee, but it's whether how serious someone like Juve are interested. Obviously, there's been links to other Premier League teams and there's been links to Turkey as well. So I think Juve would be an unbelievable kind of deal for him. But
it's not the Juve though that we think of though.
They're still a big club.
Yeah, no, they are a big club, of course.
And if he goes there, it's major for him to be going somewhere like Juve when other clubs, you would have thought he wouldn't get a club as big as them basically interested. So there's obviously reports coming out, even more reports now about Douglas Luiz, about how they really want rid of him. And they're shopping him around to other teams, and a lot of Premier League clubs inquired about him. So I really hope that we're serious about someone like Douglas Luiz, because we're looking for a midfielder. Again, the old question about squad numbers, well, that's a question for another update. But yeah, I think.
Is it though? Because I'm sure we'll keep getting.
Yeah, no, I mean another, not this specific Bissouma update I meant, but yeah, I think we all know Bissouma's probably out the door. Let's just hope Juve stump up some sort of money for him.
Yeah, I think a deal for Bissouma with Douglas Luiz involved could be one to suit all parties. If Juventus are interested in Bissouma, I'm happy to see the back of him, to be honest, and I have been for a while. And I think Douglas Luiz, Premier League proven, a very good central midfielder. He had his injury problems last year, missing 20 games through muscle injuries, which is definitely a cause for concern. And obviously they need to do their due diligence and to see why that happened and if it is worth pursuing a deal for Douglas Luiz. But if he can put those problems behind him and come to Spurs and show his side that he had at Villa for the last 2 years of his time there, then I'll be very much open to that move. And I think it's an upgrade, to be honest.
I wouldn't be surprised if it's a Højbjerg style deal, loan with an obligation at the end of the year.
Yeah, potentially. But let's see what happens with that. Let's move on and talk about Romero, as Fabrizio Romano says that Tottenham have not received any official offers from Atletico Madrid for Romero so far. Spurs have not opened the door to his exit, as he's a key player. Atletico talks not advanced now. Romero has just returned from his holidays, so no agreement on personal terms with any club.
Well, no official agreement. I reckon he's been chatting. We know Simeone spoke in public about him very openly, saying he would love Romero at Atletico Madrid. I think there's probably been informal discussions. I'm sure he's maybe even spoken to some of the players there. Albeit, interesting enough, Rodrigo de Paul is leaving Atletico. So obviously he would be one of his close friends there if he was to move.
Confirmed?
He's apparently agreed to go into, it's not confirmed, but apparently he's agreed to go to Inter Miami.
Wow.
So, which is quite interesting. I find that a very odd deal.
31 years of age.
Yeah,
that's
I think
mad.
but there's also a running joke that he's like Messi's personal protector. So maybe he's going to protect Messi. So that's quite interesting.
Messi's security guard not allowed on the pitch anymore.
Yeah,
so that's what it is.
Yeah, maybe that's part of it. Anyway, so obviously he's one of the players who would have been one of his good mates there, but obviously he's leaving. They've still got people like Alvarez and obviously Simeone's the manager. I'm sure there's been discussions. I'm sure there's probably nothing official going on in terms of an official bid, and it's probably just inquiries and just informal discussions at the moment, trying to get a feeler out what exactly we want. Obviously, we heard reports of bids coming in, not from those reliable sources, but we heard like reports of bids. But I think Ali Gold's just probably relaying what Tottenham are telling him when it comes.
This is Fabrizio Romano.
Sorry, Romano. Yeah, I doubt there has been an official bid, to be honest.
But why not? If they're so interested in him and he's their number one target and everything, like why are we sitting here at this point and there's not been an official bid yet?
Just clubs take their time. I don't know. I can't really put my finger on it, but I'm sure they will bid. I'm confident about that.
All right. Well, yeah, it's interesting though, isn't it? Because we heard all these kind of Argentinian journalists and all saying like that this deal is, there's negotiations underway and everything like that. And then you hear reliable ones like Romero and like Alistair Gold, and they just say like nothing's going on at this moment in time.
Yeah, I think there is things going on. I think it's more informal. I reckon they're getting like word from clubs, from Tottenham. Look, obviously, Tottenham are going to say, look, nothing's happening at the moment. We haven't had a bid, all this kind of stuff. But in Argentina, they probably get all the informal stuff happen, like getting a word of it and stuff, I reckon.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm conflicting on it. Like, one side of me thinks like, look, he's gone and we're just not going to see him next season. But then when I hear these kind of updates, particularly the one from Romano, not really the one from Ali Gold, because Ali Gold will just be saying what Tottenham want us to hear. But I think when it comes to Fabrizio Romano, he'll get kind of sources from both sides of the coin, not just the Spurs side of the coin. So I don't know. It does leave me feeling a little bit hopeful.
For me, it just comes down to the contract situation. I've always said he's not going to sign. And in those situations, Tottenham usually look to sell. And I think this is probably, look, for me, I wouldn't mind if Romero's happy to stay and he's had a conversation with Frank, even if he's not going to sign a deal, he's like, look, I'm not going to sign a deal, but I'm not going to kick him back. I'm going to be focused and I'm happy to stay and maybe, play it by ear kind of next season and maybe I can be convinced to sign. Then fine, I'm happy for him to stay, but will the club see it that way? Will Levy see it that way? That's a different kettle of fish.
Yeah. All right, let's see what we have next. This is this weird, strange situation which happened yesterday with Maxime Esteve of Burnley. So Loic Tanzi, who is a tier 1 journalist out in France for L'Equipe, I think, and he says that Tottenham and Burnley have resumed talks over Maxime Esteve of Burnley. And then straight off the bat, Paul O'Keefe coming in saying Spurs denying they've held talks with Maxime Esteve. Fabrizio Romano, no approach from Spurs for Maxime Esteve. Club focused on other targets. Alistair Gold this morning saying rumours linking Spurs with a move for centre-back Maxime Esteve are understood to be wide off the mark. And look, I believe...
And Damasio, he said concrete talks.
Damasio, he kind of like went off the back of the Loic Tanzi news at that moment in time. But... I like him. I think he's a really good player. He's a similar profile to Mickey van der Ven, left-sided centre-back that, we could definitely interchange them when van der Ven needs a rest and play him in the cup competition and everything. So on that basis, I think it's a move that, definitely makes sense. And he's a guy that can fit into the squad. However, with bringing in Kota Takai and all the defenders that we have here, we just got no space in the squad for him. So it just makes no sense to be in negotiations for him right now.
Yes, he doesn't have space in the squad.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I just can't see.
I'm talking about profile-wise.
Yeah, profile-wise, he fits. I think he can play left-back and centre-back. That's the kind of defender we want in defence because we want someone basically replacing Ben Davies who can fill in that role, who's got higher potential and probably can play that role to higher effect. I think Esteve definitely could fit that. He's had a wonderful time at Burnley. He's good on the ball. He's a good passer, left-footed as well. So he's the kind of defender we should be looking at. But again, it's just the squad numbers. And he would be our 10th centre-back in the current squad if he was to sign, which is just a ridiculous situation to be in. Why are we signing more centre-backs? So obviously, look, we're not, looks like we're not really as interested in him as... We're not really as interested in him as was first reported, and it seems as though there's not actually that many contacts. But if they're ahead of the game, maybe if Paul O'Keefe is behind and there is talks, I just find it really weird that we're going for yet another centre-back. We've just signed Kota Takai. We've got Vuskovic and Phillips waiting in the wings. We've got 5 centre-backs on top of that. Why are we thinking about bringing even more centre-backs to Tottenham right now? It just seems a bit ridiculous.
Thing is, though, if we wouldn't have brought in Kota, I thought this would be a really good deal to do because he's a player, like I said before, that will fill in on the left side of the defence. He can and has played at left back as well. And these are the kind of profile of players that we said at the beginning of the window. This is what we need to build the squad. So in terms of that aspect, completely fits. But now we've brought in Kota, there's just no room for it. And yeah, in terms of the 10 centre-backs, you've got Alfie Dorrington there who played for the under-21s last night. So I just don't think there's a pathway for him right now. And I think Alfie Dorrington will go out on loan again. Phillips probably going to go out on loan again. Vuskovic is probably going to go out on loan. Is there a chance that Kota even goes out on loan next season?
There's a chance. And I think a lot of it depends on how pre-season goes. I think as Ali Gold said when the news first broke, that the intention is to be part of the first team. I think we have brought him in to be part of the first team, but it's going to be very interesting to see how pre-season goes. If Vuskovic is or Phillips even is well outperforming him, I don't see the excuse of not of sending them out alone ahead of him. It doesn't, for me anyway. Maybe they've already made their mind up, and whatever happens in pre-season, they're going to go ahead with him in the first team. But for me, what I would like to see as a fan is pre-season take a lot of weight and make those judgments then after pre-season. If Kota is lagging behind those two, and those two are younger than him, I think I would rather, and they've also been playing at decent level, pretty good levels in men's football. I would like to just see it be merit-based and see it who's performing the best in pre-season and stuff like that. But it's a chance, I guess, that they've made the decision already and he's going to be part of the first team. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, just about 10 days away from Spurs' first pre-season game away at Reading. Be interesting to see who gets on the pitch in terms of centre-backs. Let's talk about the Mohamed Kudus situation right now, as first of all, the Bleacher Report says that Tottenham's deal to sign Kudus as of Tuesday evening, there has been no progress and the deal has stalled. Both sides are refusing to move as it stands, with intermediaries working hard to get a deal done. But as it stands, Tottenham and West Ham are not close. The Mail are reporting otherwise, that they're saying, well, not otherwise, but they're saying Tottenham are expected to make an improved bid for Mohamed Kudus before the end of the week. Tottenham are looking to reach a compromise of around 60 to 65 million pounds. CNH is that West Ham guy that we spoke about yesterday, who said that there's no sort of incoming bid from Tottenham from what he's heard, or they're not expecting one. He says that West Ham need to find 40 million by next week or refinance their bank loan. The terms of the short-term loan dictates that the money must be repaid by the 15th of July, which is next Tuesday. So that's a pressing issue for West Ham. And Ali Gold, he said that Tottenham are currently prioritising a right winger, with West Ham's Mohamed Kudus as a player of interest. Spurs are also looking to bring in another central midfielder. Yes, Mohamed Kudus is a player of interest for Spurs, is he? Yeah, interesting. Considering it's been widely reported to be made an opening bid, I'm hoping he's of interest. I do worry when I hear the news about this West Ham loan, because in theory it should give Tottenham the upper hand.
Stinks of Jack Grealish.
But that is the problem, I guess, when you're a lot of the time when Levy has the upper hand, he tries his utmost to use it to the best deed that he can. So if he thinks he can get a much better deal than he should be getting, then he's gonna try and shave as many millions as possible, and then by doing that, he's waiting and waiting to get that better deal, to basically see who blinks first in this deal. If it is true that West Ham need this money by in the next 6 days, then he might be feeling, okay, we can run it, basically have a little mini deadline, run it down to that deadline and see if we can, they're desperate for this money. So even if we don't bid higher than we've got, they're going to have to take it because they have to take something. But again, they're risking it. Again, I just read a Reddit report again. Arsenal are heating up with Madueke, so that deal is getting underway. It seems as though that deal is they're moving in the right direction between those two, and that really could impact the deal that we have, because does that mean Chelsea could come in for him? Does that mean there's all of a sudden there's going to be another pie? If we can get this deal swiftly done now, we don't have to risk that. But if all of a sudden we're waiting because we think there's this deadline that West Ham have to reach, or if West Ham refinance that loan all of a sudden, and
that's
then
probably the most likely,
and then this whole thing becomes irrelevant anyway. So I think Levy's testing the waters. Probably that makes a lot of sense to me. I think he's trying to get the deal as low as possible, and we're going to risk missing out on him, I feel.
Yeah,
and look,
we know exactly what's going to happen. When West Ham going to refinance this loan, they're not going to be as desperate for cash as Levy would have thought.
And they're going to put him even more on the price,
exactly.
Probably.
And then they're going to put his price up, and then Chelsea going to come in, and he's probably going to go there. That's probably the way it's going to go down.
Look, and I think for me, I reckon West Ham are going to try and find any way to screw us anyway. Obviously, they're reluctant to sell to us, but I think I think they would sell to us under the right circumstances, but I don't think they want to. So if there's a chance that to screw us over in this negotiation, and then also be kind of heralded by West Ham fans as, you know, that all of a sudden they would see it as getting over in Tottenham, I think they're going to try and do that. But of course, they have to live with the reality is that they do need to sell him, and if Tottenham are the only seriously interested party looking to spend anywhere near the money they're looking for, they might have to do it. But I think if there is a way they can get out of it and screw us over, I think they'll try and take it.
100%. Let's talk about Tyler Dibling. Florian Plettenberg gave an update yesterday and says, so far Southampton have not received any concrete offers for Dibling, but there have been many inquiries. Manchester United, Tottenham, Forest and West Ham all keen on him. Southampton's valuation is set at 55 to 65 million euros. Tim Stainton has been speaking about him on Sky. I think he's out of a job right now.
Yeah, they sacked him.
He says that he's an outstanding player with a street football mentality, with special dynamism. He's a player who can suddenly stop, turn and accelerate again. His first touch is exceptional. He has immense potential. I believe he'll end up being too expensive for a German club, which is why he'll move within England. Yeah,
I don't think we're going to spend anywhere near 55 to 65 million. I think that's obviously a nuts kind of deal. Especially, I know he's a talented player, but we're talking about a similar price for Kudus. I mean, it's crazy.
We did spend 40 on Archie Gray.
I know, but still, I think first of all we probably overpaid. But we're talking about improving our right wing options, right? Why would we spend a similar amount on an unproven 19-year-old rather than spending
which club
on?
You support, yeah.
I know which club I support, but I think it's just, for me, I just can't see it happening. I can't see us spending that money on him.
See, if the Kudus deal goes down the drain, what kind of options are we left with?
You go outside the Premier League.
Bakayoko looks like he could be going to Forest now. That's another one down the drain. Mm-hmm. Like,
maybe?
Which way are we going to turn? There's rumours of Akalush going somewhere else as well. I can't remember where. But I feel like we're going to end up with Dibling. I don't know if Southampton are actually going to stick to that price. I think there's definitely wiggle room and room for negotiation.
It has to be like half that.
Yeah, I reckon we could end up spending like Archie Gray size fee on him.
Potentially. I mean, it would have to be a deadline day one. I don't think we spend massive. I think the only reason we'd want him is because we can get him for a decent price. And if we can't, I don't think we're going to do it.
Is there an opportunity for Mbeumo again, though? Mbeumo, this Man United thing is still nothing's really progressing on it.
I think it could be linked to our next story, which we'll get into, but we'll see. I mean, there's a lot of talk about the deal stalling, and Brentford want even more money. It's going quite quiet again. Obviously, the rumours are Mbeumo only wants Man United, so whether it's Man United or nothing, we'll have to wait and see. But yeah,
that's what we heard about Kudus and Spurs.
Yeah, who knows how true is his agent or who really knows the truth in all these things. But I don't know if there's a try. I wouldn't get your hopes up about anything about Mbeumo right now.
And the last story of the day is one breaking in the last hour or last half an hour, and this is on Yoan Wissa, as Lyle Thomas first broke the story, and he says Tottenham are maintaining an interest in Yoan Wissa. Brentford are aware of it, but there has been no direct contact between the clubs for him so far. Then Sammy Mockbell came in and says that Tottenham moving for Brentford attacker Yoan Wissa is understood to be open to a move. Tottenham weighing up the financials attached to the deal. And Ben Jacobs says that Spurs are weighing up a move for Brentford's Yoan Wissa, more driven by Thomas Frank. Wissa is keen on a move. Brentford don't want to lose Wissa and Brian Mbeumo in the same window. So we know that Brian Mbeumo and Manchester United has seeming to be advanced for a while now, but nothing seems to be moving on. Will Spurs actually move for Yoan Wissa? I don't know. I question it, to be honest.
Yeah, I feel I wouldn't be surprised if we did. I think I think there's a good chance we're looking at him and interested in him. I think again, it's one of those where we probably only go for him if we can get a reasonable fee for him, because he's 28. Although he got a lot of goals last season, that was definitely a bit of an outlier in his career so far in terms of the amount of goals he has scored in his career. But he has also been a player, credit to him, who has been improving every year he's been in the Premier League. So it's not like this is a player who's just come out of nowhere. He has been steadily improving, and last season obviously was a culmination of that. And I do think it would be a good replacement for Richarlison. But if it's an alternative to Kudus, I'm not too happy about a deal for Yoan Wissa. I think he has to be seen as a Richarlison replacement. I don't really want to see him on the wings. I don't think he's particularly incredible when he's there, and he had a brilliant season up front last season for Brentford, playing that striker role. And he's a different profile to like Solanke, very different kind of striker. So I do like the idea of having him as an option. He's also got a great availability. He very rarely gets injured, Wissa. He's played a lot of games over the past 4 years for Brentford. So I can understand the appeal. I also do feel, is this coming out now to pressure United to get the Mbeumo deal done? There's a part of me that feels that, because when you read the reports, a couple of them are saying they're being very keen to add Brentford don't want to lose Mbeumo and Wissa in the same window. They're saying it's going to make the Mbeumo deal more difficult. So are they putting this out in the press now to pressure Man United to rush that deal forward, because they want to put the impression that Man United risk missing out on Mbeumo if we push ahead for Wissa now? Is that the reason why this is coming out now? I think there could be a good possibility of that. But I also think I reckon it's probably true that we are interested in him. I reckon that's probably true. How much we're willing to spend on him, I wouldn't want to go above 40, really. And 40, even 40s, but yeah, I wouldn't want to go above 40. I think that should be.
But also, I was thinking like this could also be a tactic from Tottenham to try and pressure West Ham into accepting a bid for Mohamed Kudus as well, because we know that we're the only clubs that have seriously come in for him or made a bid for him. Kudus has come out and made his stance saying he only wants to join Tottenham, and West Ham are playing a bit of hardball with it and sticking to the fee they want. And they're basically putting it out there, we're willing to move on from Kudus and go for Yoan Wissa if you don't want to play ball with us.
Could be that as well. So I think there's a lot of moving parts, but I also think it's definitely a kind of deal I can see us doing as well. Like, I don't think it's like a crazy suggestion that we're interested in him. We know Frank is a big fan of his. For me, look, I like him. Do I think he's a good player? Yeah, I think he's a good player who's done well for Brentford. Is it a deal that massively gets me excited? I can't say yes, because I don't think it does. I don't think like it's a deal that is a game changer or anything like that. As well, if it is a deal to get done, if Son is staying, again, we have another problem. How do we fit players in the squad? Because we're prioritising a right winger, but Son's future has to be decided. If he's still here, then we kind of have to make a decision. Either we replace Richarlison with a winger or a striker, and if it's Wissa, then are we going to sign Kudus on top of him? I think a lot of people saying the consensus is if they're happy with this deal as long as it's not in place of Kudus and it's on top of Kudus. But is that realistic? I don't know. That's the issue at the moment.
The reality is you've got to think about what fee they're going to want for Wissa. They're going to want a sizable fee for him. They're going to want at least 45, 50, even north of that, right? There is no chance Spurs spent that kind of money on a 28-year-old. I just can't see it.
Like, I say if he has to be 40, 40 million.
I think between 30 and 40 million. I mean, I think the max Spurs will probably go to is about 40 million for someone like Yoan Wissa. I don't think that's anything that Spurs are going to accept. I mean, Brentford are going to accept. So
you don't think I'd accept 40 million?
I don't think so. I don't think so, because you're looking at the state of where they're at the moment. They're potentially losing Brian. Let's say they're losing Brian Mbeumo like for 60 million. They've just got their whole coaching staff gutted. They got to keep some sort of quality around, like from last season.
Norgard as well.
Norgard, their captain's gone. They've been absolutely gutted this summer. Like, I think they've got decent money in this summer. I think that they're going to want to keep Wissa and they're going to hold him to a premium.
Yeah. I think you're right, but I think 40 million is a premium for someone like him, to be honest. I think they're the kind of club who sees a good fee. They know a good fee when they see it. And I think they would see 40 million for Wissa as a good fee. So I do think they would accept it. But it's whether, again, if Mbeumo leaves, then does the price go up? It's all about the timing as well. If we get this deal done now, I think maybe they take 40. But if the Mbeumo deal gets done, all of a sudden does that price go up?
Yeah, to be fair, it does have 1 year left.
So even then, it should be less than 40, to be honest. So I think 40, they'll jump at 40 then if he's got 1 year left and he's not signing.
If he's got 1 year left, then it shouldn't even be 40. It should be half that. You know what I mean? Like 20, 25 million.
turns 29 in September, someone says, so he's going to be 29 soon. Yeah, 40 is probably way too much, to be honest, for that, when you're thinking about that. So I think they'll definitely be open to selling this summer, it sounds like. So in terms of that report saying they don't want to lose Wissa and Mbeumo in the same time, they might not want to, but I think there's a good offer for Wissa on the table. I think they're the kind of club who always takes the money.
And also with the Brian Mbeumo thing, Norgard going, Wissa going, all potentially in the same summer. I know they're not going to want to lose Wissa and Mbeumo in the same summer, but you know, like if they block Mbeumo going now, surely that's a potential for him to kick up a fuss. I know he loves Brentford and everything like that, but he's been in talks with Manchester United all summer. There's been willingness to talk from Brentford and Manchester United all summer. I know Man United are digging their heels in and not getting a deal done, but if you believe what the press is saying, they're only like a couple of million apart. Like, surely you think a deal will get done there. And if a deal does get done, if they lose Mbeumo, Wissa, Norgard, 5 of their coaching team plus their manager all in the same summer,
it's
there's probably a good chance for them to go down next season.
We say that all the time, don't we?
So they've never lost this many amount of people.
They lost Tony. I'm trying to remember who else they've lost in the past. But in terms of their fees, though, they can't afford. Brentford are the type of team who can't really afford to like lose out on that amount of money. If it's between 25 or 30 million, when he's got a year left, they're the kind of club that kind of relies on those kind of income, that getting in that kind of figure to make themselves competitive, you know, and get players in. And I'm sure they've lined up 5 or 6 or 10 replacements for Wissa already in case this happens. They're the kind of team that have planned for this. This isn't going to be a surprise for them. So I think, for me, they would take the money. I think Paul O'Keefe has just tweeted about it.
What did he say?
Inquiry about Wissa. He says, inquiry made, trying to establish if really keen or to push West Ham. And if they are keen, is it both? I guess that would depend on Richarlison.
Yeah, I do get the feeling it is something to push West Ham, to be honest. I don't know if we're serious. I only think we're going to go for Wissa if there's a really, really good deal to be done. Yeah, but what's Sam C saying?
Tottenham are interested in Wissa deal. Brentford don't want to lose him and Mbeumo in the same window after already losing Frank. Man United, as of this morning, had not launched a new bid for Mbeumo. No deal close as of now.
That's mad that there's no deal close for Mbeumo with Manchester United.
It's been grumbling on. It's been over a month now since that breaking story from Ornstein saying he's chosen Man United essentially. And
maybe Mbeumo's going to stay then.
Maybe he's open to staying. What
is it with Manchester United? Do they not have the money or something? Because like we got told they got bid 62.5 million, and we got told that Brentford want 65 million for him. So surely that deal gets done. I just don't understand it.
Maybe it's about the structure of the payments, all this stuff, all this kind of things. I don't know. Maybe that they want more upfront money and they want to pay it all in loads of installments and trying to get around it in that way. Maybe they really are struggling for money. We have heard they have money troubles. So, yeah, I think could be a lot of reasons, but I think they'll find a way to get it done. Yeah, I mean, I'll be amazed if they don't. It'll be hilarious if we sign Wissa and that stops them getting him.
But look, we'll see how this one progresses. Is it something just to push West Ham along? Is it serious interest from Spurs on Yoan Wissa? All will be revealed in the coming days, and I'm sure the story will progress.
Do you like Wissa? Do you think?
I do like Wissa. I think Wissa's quality, and I think obviously Frank knows how to get the best out of him. Scored 19, 20 goals last year in the Premier League. I think he would be a really good option with Dom Solanke, and I think he'd be a really good option to play with Dom Solanke with 2 up top as well. So I think he could be a better asset for us than a Richarlison.
Do you think he could repeat that goal return for us?
Well, probably not, because he's not going to be starting every week, where Brentford was starting every week. But I think off the bench, he could be a really good asset for us.
Super sub.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind that.
But that's it. Oh, actually, there's been a confirmed fixture change in the Spurs fixtures. Second game against Manchester City away from home has been pushed back to 12:30 on the telly. So that's that. But that is your Tottenham update for today. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. Do you want to see Yoan Wissa at Spurs? And how do you think the Kudus deal is going to rumble on after all the news we've brought you today? But big up to everyone. 1,200, nearly 1,300 people in the live chat with us. So big up to each and every one of you. Smash that like button. Smash that subscribe button. We've got some more content to bring you. The show goes on, my friends. The show goes on. And we're going to go to a reacts first and foremost, as we've got some reactions from Spurs fans regarding the Yoan Wissa story, regarding the Kudus story. So let's go and see what the Spurs fans are saying. And first one is Alejandro_Spurs, and he says he'll be 29 in September. I'd take him, of course, but not if that means we don't go for Kudus. Yeah, I mean, if it's a straight shootout between the two, it's obviously Kudus we need to bring in.
Yeah, 100%. I think that is the crux of it. Is this a replacement for Kudus, or is this as well as Kudus? And I think if it's a replacement for Kudus, then I think no one's really going to be happy with this deal. Albeit he is a versatile attacker who can play on the wing and can play up front. But I think we've really seen the best out of Wissa in that striker position. I think when he was on the wing, he was a bit unconvincing. He was one of those players who can kind of pop up with some goals, but was never really a player that set the world alight, let's say, or the Premier League alight. But once he moved to that striker role, all of a sudden I think we saw a different level from Wissa.
Yeah, absolutely. Stephen_Rista says Levy is going to mess up the Kudus deal and another club that we burn our bridges with. Guy is an absolute clown. Pay the damn price. I mean, he's talking about building bridges with West Ham.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm not sure about that one. I don't think we've ever had any bridges built with West Ham. All that's happened is that we've taken their best players when they've been in the Championship and in a worse way than they are now, and we've given them their our snicklefritz of the players that we don't want. And if we do sign Kudus, that would be quite significant in this kind of rivalry, because I think it would be the most significant transfer between the two clubs in recent history.
Definitely. Probably since Defoe, I guess.
But even, I think it's more significant than that, because Defoe we took when they were in the Championship.
Yeah, 100%. So this would be to literally taking one of their better players, or while they're in the Premier League for big money as well. So I agree, but I think obviously when you hear these kind of news, it's going to get some people panicking. Oh, are we going to screw up the Kudus deal? And I understand that.
Yeah. It's not like we haven't been here before. We Are Spurs TV say that Levy has no intentions of buying Wissa. He's using the internet minions to release these targets to keep people calm as he runs down the window. He will buy inconsistent, mediocre players towards the end of the window when it will be too late for people to complain and protest. I mean, where is he expecting people to protest right now?
Get to the stadium. Get there now. I don't think... why is it too late to protest after the window? You can still protest. Too late to get anyone in.
I mean, people bloody well will be protesting after the window. I guarantee you that. Brian Daigle's going to be over here in a flash.
So We Are Spurs TV says it's a conspiracy to not sign anyone, just have the link to Wissa.
Well, it very well could be. And I don't doubt that, if we don't sign anyone towards the end of the window, we'll be linked to all these kind of mediocre Premier League players and we'll get one. No, it seems to happen.
Seems to happen all the time.
Simon Yamene says, I know most will see a move like this as a separate deal to getting a winger, in brackets Kudus, but I actually think it's one or the other. One attacker leaving, Richarlison most likely, one attacker coming in. Could be wrong, but I don't see how we make squad numbers work otherwise. Yeah,
that's the problem I find. How do we make the squad numbers work, especially if Son is staying? If Son leaves, it makes sense, but how? I just don't see how we fit in unless we're not signing a midfielder. But then the rumours are we are signing a midfielder. So I think it's just signing Wissa in this situation would again take up another squad space, which is a very difficult situation.
Yeah, I mean, it will be in replacement for Richarlison, so it wouldn't change the squad numbers if that is the case. But yeah, I just think that in terms of the squad numbers, some hard decisions will we have to make in terms of the Champions League squad. Could we leave out some players that will be part of the squad in the Champions League squad for next season? I guess that's going to have to be the case.
At the moment it will, but I don't see who it is. Who are we going to leave out? I don't know.
If we bring in Kudus as a winger, right? So you have Kudus and Brennan on the right-hand side. Kulusevski can also play there. On the left-hand side, you have Tel, Son, and a potential Mikey Moore that can play there as well. That leaves you with Odebear. So, I mean, I wouldn't bet against Odebear being left out of the Champions League squad.
Yeah. I mean, I guess he could be. But whether that's what we're going to actually do. Like, I mean, how often do you see it? A good player in the squad actually be left out of European squad and like just happily like use him in like the Premier League and stuff without like loaning him out. It's not the top. You don't often see it too much.
No, because no one has the squad issues that we've had.
Yeah, that's the problem. So, I mean, I don't know if you'd rather loan Odebear out than do that. I don't know.
That's what I've been saying for the last month. Like, I think the only suitable solution is to start loaning players like Odebear out because you want him to carry on his development. You definitely see that there's talent there and he can be a good player. But is he as good as the players that we have here, right now, if we were to bring on a Kudus? He's not.
I mean, from what we've seen, maybe not, but maybe the club think differently. I don't know. It's tough. It's tough to really like finalise that because I think you've signed him for decent money. Obviously, I think last season he was meant to be a big part of the plans, I think, before those big injury problems. So just because he's had injury problems last season, does that mean we're going to just loan him out for next season, not keep him around when we had full belief last season he was going to be a big part to how we play? I guess Frank has to make that decision. It's a tough one.
But also the rumours of the players that we're going for, and let's say Son is to stick around next season, like where is the space for him? I just don't see where he gets the minutes.
Yeah, it's true. Definitely if Son is staying. And again, it all comes down to these squad numbers.
If Son is staying and we're looking to bring in a right winger, there's just no space for him. So we put out a poll saying Spurs are reportedly moving for Yoan Wissa from Brentford, according to Sammy Mockbell. Would you be happy with this deal? And 60.9% of you said yes. 18.6% of you said no. And 20.5% of you said unsure.
So most seem to be happy with this deal. I'm looking for a lot of the comments which we got into. A lot of them are saying yes, but as long as it's not in place of Kudus. So I think there's a bit of a caveat there. But seems as though a lot of people are fairly excited about the potential Wissa coming to Tottenham.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think it would be, look, at just that in itself, if you don't take everything around it like into consideration, it would be a good deal in my opinion. But unfortunately, with Spurs, there's a lot of give and take, and unfortunately, it's not just all sunshine and roses when you're talking about bringing in Wissa. The next one from Madders THFC says yes, but as long as it's classed as a Richarlison replacement and not him or him type signing, and we know that's what it's going to be.
That's the worry. That's definitely the worry.
Owen THFC saying, in a normal world, this Wissa news would put a massive grin on my face. He's one of my favourite players in the Premier League. And the only reason I'm not completely thrilled is that it fears that the club might view him as the Kudus alternative. Before people reply saying it makes no sense as Wissa is a striker and Wissa has never played on the right before. Yes, I know Wissa and Kudus are not the only two completely different positions, but also two completely separate profiles. I know all of that. It just seems a bit weird to bolster our front line with such two great signings at the same time. If these two are separate deals and we end up with both Yoan Wissa and Mohamed Kudus, and that's unbelievable from us, I'll be the happiest man on earth. Two amazing players who will definitely take us up a level. 100%. I mean, if we do bolster the front line with both those players, then that finally says to me that we're trying to take our front line onto the next level.
Yeah. But I guess if Wissa is a Kudus, if Wissa is a Kudus alternative though, and we do sign him, doesn't make any sense because he can't. He's never, even at Brentford, he only really played on the left, didn't play on the right too much, and we already have so many players who are more comfortable on the left than the right hand side. So to bring in another one would be really frustrating. Obviously, a backup striker would be good, but does that mean we're going to be just basically trusting Decky a lot more potentially? Yeah, maybe that's the case.
Spurs Army showing us the goalkeeping union in training. I think it was yesterday. Vicario, Kinski, Keeley and Brandon Austin.
Good set of keepers there.
Really
Love
is.
it.
Luca Gunter as well, playing for Spurs under 21s against Bromley last night in, I think it was a 5-2 defeat. I think Spurs were 2-0 up in that game as well. But that's the goalkeeping union. Next up, you see Kota Takai in first team training for the very first time yesterday.
Suits him.
Definitely suits him.
Suits him, the shirt. Come on.
And also Luka Vuskovic. Pride of North London says, I feel Bergvall type season for Luka this season. I think the second half of the season we'll realise we have a real top talent on our hands. And I think we all know we have a top talent on our hands, but I do think that he's due for a loan spell this year.
Yeah, again, I think it depends how these training session pre-season goes. But at the moment, if they'll make a decision right now, I think Luka would be the one going out on loan to Bundesliga and Kota staying. That seems to be. So I think if he wants to really be involved next season, he's going to have to show this pre-season that he's ready, and he's better than Kota right now.
Yeah. Lily White Rose showing us some new merch in the Spurs store. No way, he's saying, with a lot of laughing emojis. They're selling this right now, a Nike top. It says Spursy.
I don't know about
that. Spurs are starting to sell like all this kind of out there merch at the moment. Like last week they released something saying "Lads, it's Tottenham." Now this one's saying Spursy. They're really trying to tap into that fan kind of.
They're trying to change. Yeah. Well, to be fair, after the Europa League win, is the narrative changing? You know, now every Arsenal fan I see tweeting, everyone tweets "War a trophy," and I just absolutely love it. It's all completely flipped on their heads now, and everyone tweets about trophies to them.
Yeah, I tweeted out when all the new Gyökeres news was going hot. I said, Gyökeres is now retiring from winning trophies. It feels so good to put out these tweets, man. And Arsenal fans absolutely
they say,
they can't take it.
I see some quote tweets saying one trophy, and look at them, they're giving all this and that. It's like, yeah, 100%. What do you mean? This is what we've been dealing with for 17 years. You know, this is exactly how we felt. So yeah, one trophy, and we're going to smash it in your face, 100%.
Would you? You've won in the bloody last 5 years.
Would you buy a Spursy t-shirt? Was that your kind of thing?
Not for me.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I'm not sure if I'd buy one.
Not for me. No context Tottenham, quote retweeting Hotspur related on the 8th of July yesterday, saying Tottenham have explored signing a new left back to add more depth. And he's just got Sergio Reguilon. What about Reguilon?
He played under Frank. Did play under
Frank, and he's a free agent, isn't he?
He's a free agent. Who says no? I think everyone.
I wouldn't say no.
You wouldn't say no?
No, I don't think Reguilon did badly when he came in last season. I don't think he excelled, but I think he's a better option than Kyle Walker-Peters.
So you would bring him back?
If it meant no one, if we can't get anyone else, yeah.
Would you rather him or Davis?
Him.
Rather Reguilon than Davis?
Yeah, at left back, yeah.
I'm all right for Reguilon.
Reguilon gets so much hate that it's like kind of unwarranted. He's not a great player. Like, he's not unbelievable. He's not even like, I wouldn't want him starting week in, week out, don't get me wrong. But as a backup, purely when you've got Jed Spence who can play on both sides where he's not going to play that much, I'll bring him in. I think he was criminally underused by Ange last season.
Yeah.
Tottenham Academy. So Damola Ajayi made his debut for Doncaster in a pre-season friendly and got a goal to his name. So big up to Damola.
And here it is. Nice little finish on his left foot, backing up after scoring that goal against Elfsborg last season. I'm hoping for a great pre-season for him. Really interested to see how he does in this loan spell. First loan spell for him.
I think he's going to smash it.
Well, he's got off to a good start, so let's see how he does. But yeah, nice finish. A few players ahead of him.
How many League One are they League One or League Two?
I think they got promoted to League One.
Yeah, so how many like League One clubs can say that they've got on loan someone with a Europa League winners medal and a guy that scored in the Europa League?
Yeah, I think he must be the only one, surely.
Kyle Richarlison season says Tottenham have a very good squad and doesn't need a lot done to it. It just needs more experienced players with more quality in certain key areas. Tottenham's squad, as it is right now, I say could get top 8 easily. I mean, you're talking about having a really good squad. What's that in comparison to? Like, what? It depends what his targets are.
What counts as very good?
Yeah, what does count?
Is 8th very good?
No.
So if you're saying this squad is very good, it could easily finish 8th. It's like, well, if it only finishes 8th, it's not very good then, is
Yeah,
it?
exactly.
So I think very good would be getting it back into that top 5, top 6 conversation for sure. Can this squad do it? I still think it can. I mean, we finished 5th with a squad not too dissimilar to this. So I know we didn't have Europe, but we still finished 5th that season. So it can do it. It's all about balancing multiple competitions and having the depth and all that kind of stuff. I do think when everyone's fit, we're not going through a massive injury crisis of 12 players. I think it can do it. But again, a lot of it as well, Romero could be leaving, Son could be leaving. Who do we replace them with? And what kind of quality are we replacing them with? Those are a lot of big questions to ask, I think. But I think if you're just looking at the squad right now, forgetting squad numbers and everything, I think there's a lot of good players there, and I think they should be, finished challenging for the top 6.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like you got Arsenal, Liverpool, Man City, Chelsea. I think those 4 squads are head and shoulders better than ours. But then after that, you got Villa, Newcastle, and Spurs. I think we'll all be fighting for those 3 spots. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like Newcastle probably do have a better squad than us.
I think they've got a better 11.
Yeah,
I don't know about the squad. Their squad isn't that deep as well.
it's true. I think their 11 could be comfortably better than ours.
Yeah, their midfield 3 is just ridiculous.
Yeah,
so good.
So you'd probably say Newcastle and Villa. Yeah, Villa is.
I think Villa's different. I think they don't have a better 11, but they have a better squad.
Yeah,
I think it's the opposite.
So yeah, we'll be fighting with those 3 clubs next season, in my opinion. And will we get the better of any of them? I'm not too sure. Simon Yamene saying Thomas Frank arriving with the biggest coaching staff in Tottenham Hotspur history.
We've definitely had a lot of coaches
you love
to the
to see
team.
it.
Yeah, a lot of specialists, which Frank alluded to in his interview, which we'll react to. But yeah, there you go. A lot of people noticing how big the new staff level is.
Yeah, and I'm loving it, to be honest. Tottenham Independent Transfer Story says, sensational paragraph, this Daniel Levy masterclass says, Brett and Davies were only appointed by Spurs last summer, with the former replacing long-standing head of medicine and sports science Jeff Scott, who was axed in an overhaul conducted by the club's former chief football officer Scott Munn. Munn is on gardening leave after being dismissed.
So we sacked someone who replaced someone who we got sacked, who got replaced by someone who's just been sacked.
The never-ending internal rebuild, the Tottenham Hotspur.
Literally, merry-go-round for who's in the seats. It's incredible. Fantastic. I think that was a fantastic paragraph.
Yeah. And what's this? Lineup for next season.
And this one, the Esteve links came out.
Okay.
So it's
Just like a squad for the centre-backs.
a squad full of centre backs, basically. And you could put Dorrington. Oh no, Dorrington there. So a team of right backs. Where centre backs? I mean, where does that team finish? You reckon?
Bottom. Yeah.
Yeah, you probably think you're right about that.
But yeah, that is reacts. That is how Spurs fans are reacting to all the news at this current moment in time. And there has been actually some breaking news outside of Tottenham. Carlo Ancelotti has been sentenced to 1 year in prison from tax fraud.
1 year
nuts.
in prison.
He's just taking the Brazil job.
Why does Ancelotti come across to me as the kind of person who would like just own the prison when he's in there? He'd be like the boss.
Don Carlo.
Don Carlo.
Don Carlo.
He's going to be there. He's going to be ordering everyone around. Everyone's going to be serving him like fine dinners and stuff. Like he's going to be the boss of that prison.
That's mad.
He's
1
going to
year
own
in
it.
prison. Do you reckon he still keeps his Brazil job?
Yeah, probably not. Surely if he's in prison. Unless he gets bail to
That
for
could
each
be an
match
end
or gets leave.
to Richarlison's Brazil hopes.
That's mental. I wonder if there's an appeal process or something. But yeah, it's crazy.
He's actually been sentenced to 1 year.
That's mad. Is that why Madrid have let him go? Did they knew the whole time?
Oh, here we go. Ancelotti is unlikely to spend any time behind bars. Spanish law says any sentence under 2 years for non-violent crime rarely requires a defendant without previous convictions to serve jail time. So he ain't going to jail.
All right, well, that was fun while it lasted. Don Carlo at it again.
All right, so...
Yeah, 1 sec.
So we're going to be reacting to Thomas Frank and Johan Lang's most recent video on the Spurs website or the Spurs social media channels, which, yeah, potentially some interesting stuff. I haven't seen it myself. Have you seen it?
I watched it yesterday. There's some good stuff there. There's some good stuff to talk about. They're walking around the training ground, chatting with Ben Haynes about what's to come. Where is it?
All right, let's get into this.
Huh?
Okay.
Want to put it full screen? All right, look at that training complex.
All right, so let's see what Frank and Johan got to say. We're covering Johan's face. We don't need to see it.
Today. It's great to get this session in now as we build towards the start
So
of
we
pre-season.
can't
Thomas, just
hear
tell us firstly,
the audio
how's
on
the sessions been
It's
so
on.
far?
It's
Have you been
going
impressed with
through
the boys?
there.
Yeah, it's been good. We had the first session on grass
Well, there's
today.
catch.
There was a lot of chest Saturday.
Look at that, Bergvall
So, yeah,
back in
it's good.
training. That is
Out there,
what we want to
that's the fun
hear,
bit.
man.
That's where we try to
No, it's
affect
connected
things.
to you.
Yeah, good effort, good mentality. Yeah, happy.
Fantastic.
And
And
let's
Johan, let's get
can we
into
hear
a little
the
bit about
headphones?
the coaching staff, because this is really exciting.
1 sec. Don't careful. Don't know where are they?
What's exciting me most about this video is seeing Bergvall back in first team action and training. That is what we want to see.
Don't know if you can hear it. What if I play it?
All right, we know who our coaches are going
Yeah,
to be for the
you can
season.
hear
We
it.
know about the whole team.
Right, that's not it.
All right.
And the viewers can hear it as well.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into what Thomas Frank and Johan Lang have been speaking about in the latest update coming out of Hotspur Way.
Saturday. So yeah, it's been good to have them out there. That's the fun bit. That's where we try to affect things. So yeah, good effort, good mentality. Yeah, happy.
Fantastic. And Johan, let's get
He's
into a little
happy.
bit about the
at
coaching
that.
staff, because this is
Happy
really
Frank.
exciting.
Happy in
We
their
know who our
first week.
coaches are going to be for the season. We
Yeah.
know about the whole team. But I wonder if you could tell us about the process.
Yeah, of course. In the interview process we have with Thomas, we spend quite a lot of time talking about which kind of staff should we try to assemble around Thomas. Firstly, we mapped out which kind of competences that we thought was important to have the best possible staff before we start to put any names to it. Thomas had a wish to bring in a few coaches that he has worked with before. But for all the other roles, we've had a very, very good process where we've interviewed several candidates for each one of the roles, and standing here today with a very, very good feeling and quite excited about the staff we have put together.
Yeah, it's a really...
That's quite interesting.
Yes, I mean, go on. What's interesting?
Well, the interesting, I guess the interesting part is he's saying for a lot of the candidates, the coaches, they had a big vetting process, a lot of candidates, but they landed on all the ones he's worked with before.
Yeah. But, like, whenever Spurs do this, like, under new managers and new players come in and they explain everything, it's like, there's always, like, this amazing big grand master plan. And then it all gets ripped up.
Yeah, I mean, of
within
course.
a year, 18 months. So, I mean, I kind of find it so hard to believe when I'm listening to Johan Lang or Paratici or this one or that one, Kamoli, Arnes, all of them over the years, Daniel Levy as
Quite
well.
a bit going
I
in the
find it so hard to
Southampton
believe that
are actually going
they've put so much thought and practice into this, and this is their grand master plan all coming together. But it's all coming together once again, over and over again, and nothing seems to work.
Yeah. But what's
No, I mean-
also, 100%. What's also good, though, I guess, compared to before, is just we're going to have more specialists. Obviously, there was a lot of complaints, especially from the fan base, about a lack of set piece coach, specialised, and all these different things. Frank's going to go through who specialising in what, which is interesting to hear. But that's something we're definitely missing last year. We had a lot of coaches. The team was coached, what's called, not like what other people say, but we didn't clearly have, I think, specialists in every area, which I think maybe, when you're looking at the Premier League right now, that's what a lot of teams have. And I think that's probably a good thing that we got that.
Yeah, what kind of outfit were they running? How can you not have specialists in every area in this day and age?
Yeah, I agree. I think you need specialists.
But anyway, let's go on.
Really, really exciting group. Just tell us a little bit about them, Thomas, and the roles
So now,
that they'll do
Frank's
individually,
gonna
and
go
as well as
through
what they'll provide to the team more
I think
generally.
who's going to be specialist in what.
The three assistant coaches, Justin Cochran, who come from Brentford and worked with me before. You'll be charge of the offensive part of the game, and then some training planning and get that smooth and running. Then we got an Andreas Georgsen from Man United, but also worked with him previously in Brentford. That will be assistant coach, but main focus on set pieces of diff restarts and some culture of it. And then we will have Matt Wells, who will be responsible for the defensive part of the game and also contributing to training. And I think that the way they split the roles, I think is really good and covering all the abilities.
So Matt Wells in charge of defensive.
Defensive, yeah.
What do we think about that? Because he was obviously part of the coaching staff last year, the last couple of years.
Yeah.
I guess in the Europa League, we defended quite well. But definitely at times in Premier League.
I don't know what Matt Wells was in charge of last year. Just because he's specifically
now chose to want to work on the defence side of the game. So I'm assuming that's something he's very strong at. I assume last season... Look, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know exactly what he was in charge of. Obviously, he was assistant manager to Ange, but I doubt his defensive recommendations would have been ignored.
It's not about them. It's not that about them being ignored. He's trying to work under and into the parameters that Ange Postecoglou sets, and he obviously sets a very high pressing team. And whatever team Ange has managed, they've always conceded a lot of goals. Whereas Thomas Frank, I know Brentford also conceded a lot of goals, but that just goes for who Brentford are. But they have an actual proper defensive structure where it looked like that. Spurs didn't really coach too much into defending. So
I think when you saw they definitely were doing that in Europa League.
Yeah, fine in the Europa League, but what about everything else?
Yeah, I think, and sometimes in Premier League. But yeah, that's my point. We couldn't get it right in the Premier League, but in the Europa League we had some sort of structure.
Yeah, but it all comes down from the manager, right? You can't just all put it down on Matt Wells and the defensive coach within the squad. Like, it all stems down from the manager, and it's all a collaborative effort. Right?
Exactly.
And
that's my point.
And I think that Frank will set better parameters for defensive work than Ange Postecoglou would have.
Cochran, obviously, he's in charge of attacking.
Yeah.
And I think that's positive because he clearly had different ways of attacking at Brentford, and they were very smart with how they were basically attacking teams, whether it be on the counter attack, whether it be from whipping crosses in early. And I think having a bit more variation in that is going to be interesting as well.
Yeah, and I think when you're looking at both those coaches, Cochran and Matt Wells, both highly respected coaches within the game, both seemingly with big futures ahead of them. Matt Wells is expected to be one of the next managers like Ryan Mason that could go on to actually being a first team coach, and Cochran as well, who was in the running for the Brentford job before just after Frank joined us. So two very respected coaches, two coaches that have a big future in the game, and I'm very delighted. I'm excited to see what both of them can do next year.
Wait, so when he said the three assistants, those are three assistants? Or was he talking about the three other guys? Who are the assistants?
So Cochran's an assistant, and Wells is an assistant, and there's one more.
So Wells has actually kept his place as an assistant manager?
I had it written down somewhere, actually, but I can't remember where it is. It might not be Wells, actually. I'm pretty sure it is.
Because they signed two other guys from Brentford, didn't they?
Yeah.
But no, I'm not talking about the ones like yesterday. I'm talking about when they first joined.
So Andreas Jorgensen's assistant. Matt Wells won't be an assistant.
But you said three assistants.
Yeah. I had 3 assistants written down. Oh, here we go. Yeah, so first team assistant coach Chris Howsam, first team assistant coach Andreas Jorgensen, first team assistant coach Matt Wells.
Oh, so it is Matt Wells.
And Justin Cochrane.
That's 4.
That's 4, yeah. That's what it says here.
But he said 3. Okay. I'm trying to, that's confusing.
I don't know what to tell you. It said this is when Spurs first put out the news about the backroom staff and about the coaching staff. That's the roles that they put them in.
Interesting. And so Jorgensen, he's talking about set pieces.
Yeah.
So he's coming as set piece coach, but this is a guy who was working at Man United last season. They didn't have a good set piece record last season. So let's hope that can improve.
Yeah.
For us.
We would like to have. Then we have added
okay, now he's going into it.
Cameron Campbell, that is the individual coach, and big on how we develop the players. And that was a big wish from both Johan and I, something we talked about that we thought was crucial, and I think not many clubs have actually nailed that. We tried in the past, so hopefully we can take it to the next level. And then we got Fabian Otte in as a goalkeeper coach, really excited about him coming in, great experience in terms of working with some of the best goalkeepers in the world, and hopefully can help push the goalkeepers. And then finally, Chris Haslam, which is the head of performance, first team coach, which is of course the physical part of the football training, all that, but also the link to everything. So I think we got a very exciting group together.
Yeah, Johan, just tell us a little bit about the other roles that we have
dream
within
team.
that coaching setup.
Yeah,
as
so
well.
who's Fabian Otte? He's worked with like Alisson before. I'm trying to think because he was at Burnley and he was at Gladbach as well
Nick
before
Pope.
that. Nick Pope. So what was Gladbach? Was that Jan Sommer he might have been? Maybe it was Jan Sommer at the time. Interesting, he talks about someone who's head of player individual development. He said not many clubs have nailed that. Is that so? What and so someone working individually and developing. I wonder what. So is that literally nurturing a player to get the best out of them? Is that what he's talking about, or is it individual like fitness regimes?
I think it's going to be a bit of everything, to be honest.
Bit of everything. And he said not many clubs have nailed it. So
Yeah,
you
I'm
think
not sure what he means
Yeah,
by that.
is he thinking not many clubs are good at developing players? Maybe, especially R1. Maybe is that what he's referring to?
Yeah, I mean, maybe he's saying like clubs are fine at developing players, but maybe as like in a team, but like individually, players and clubs don't really work on players individually. I don't know.
I also think a lot of the emphasis at the moment. I think he's right. I feel like in the Premier League, a lot of emphasis is obviously on signing players and recruitment, and I think a lot of the emphasis is in just signing them and just having them, scouting them and just having them kind of do what you signed them for, what they've done before, and sometimes it gets lost in how players are moldable. They can change. You can develop them. You can get more out of them. You can even profile them in different ways. And maybe that's kind of how what he's referring to. Like some Premier League clubs are maybe losing out. Like they think, oh, we're signing this player as a centre mid and he's going to be a centre mid. Like a bit like it's a kind of different scenario. But like Newcastle signed Joel Linton as like a striker and he became a central midfielder. Not are enough clubs doing that kind of thing?
Yeah,
You know what I
so
mean?
we're going to sign Kota Takai and make him into a left winger.
Yeah, maybe. You never know. maybe Van der Ven's going to be a striker now, running in behind. I'm just saying, but maybe that's the kind of stuff he's like, because we definitely haven't done enough of that kind of thing. Maybe profiling players in a different way, thinking outside the box and how to use them. And I think within the Premier League, I think there's a lot of stuff missing from that. I think Brighton are quite good at doing it. I think Brentford were quite good at doing it, using Lewis Potter-Keane as a left back and stuff like that. I feel like for us, Tottenham, I think maybe there was a lack of that. I think, for a long time there's been a lack of that. Maybe
potentially.
outside the box thinking.
There's been a couple of them. Obviously, Bale started off as a left back and ended up as a left winger, central, more central as well. Didn't Moussa Sissoko, wasn't he playing more as like a winger or something before he joined us sometimes?
He came as a player who could play centre mid, but was playing off the right a lot for Newcastle
and
as well.
He came in as more as
wouldn't
like
say it was ever a winger, but
a wide player.
Yeah, a wide player.
But like he came in more as like a driving force through the middle. So
yeah,
I
but
mean,
you're talking a long
seen
time
it.
ago. You're talking like 10 years ago. I'm saying for in the since Yeah, and I think actually Poch was very good at doing it because he used to play Eriksson, different positions, Dele, next to the striker. I think Poch was a good example of how to do that. I think ever since Poch, I feel like we've been very...
Yeah, Sonny left wing back.
I think we've been boxing in players, you know what I mean? Like, oh, he's this, so he's always going to play there, you know what I mean? I can't think of too many times we've found different kind of positions for
Just
players.
look to the Europa League final, what we did with Pape Sarr.
Pape Sarr, yeah. I mean, Ange can do it. But I think in general, I think maybe that's, developing players a different way, seeing how you can best use them. I think that's a good thing.
Well, just bridge the gap, I guess, between the academy and the first team.
Yeah, as Thomas referenced, I think it's important for us to have specialists. We are very fortunate as a club that we are able to attract some of the best specialist coaches in the world. And as you say, we also made a couple of internal promotions. Stuart Lewis will come into a new role as transition coach between the first team and the academy. And as
That is very
Thomas said
important.
before, around
Stuart Lewis' role is very, very important. It's something that's been lost at this football club for so long in terms of creating that pathway from the academy to the first team. We've seen a few players get minutes here and there, but there's never been a clear pathway where you can see proper progression. And now we've got such good talent in the academy. It's so important to have someone overseeing that.
Yeah, agreed. And now's this is potentially, a golden generation for us. So we need to make most use of it. We can't let this generation pass us by without getting some players into that first team and getting use out of them. And I think there's going to be a big emphasis on that. And I think when you think about it, that's exactly what Levy would want. Making your own talent, bringing them through, saves you a lot of money.
Yeah.
When you don't have to sign players. And also, you bring in players who have an affinity to the club. You bring in players who, a lot of them are fans or they've got a connection, so they're less likely to leave, they're more likely to be loyal. There's so many pluses bring through your own players.
Exactly. They're basically, you're looking at that second half against Elfsborg when all that academy players came on, like that night and that second half was
Cameron
one of,
coming in.
apart from obviously the big games like the Europa League final and that run towards the end, that was like our best moment of the season.
Yeah.
Just because of the academy players and how well they shone on that night.
Exactly, yeah. The
Look
fans
how proud we were
take
that
them,
night.
The
And
fans.
it was a game against Elfsborg.
Agreed, and that's another reason. That it gives them some fans someone to
connection
relate
with the
to,
fans.
connect you 100%. So I think that is important, and let's hope this specialist can really help with that.
As the individual coach, we want players of all ages to have that development mindset, but of course to strengthen even more the bond between the first team and the academy is something that we have worked hard on it for a number of years. And with this new hire of Stuart coming into this new role, we believe that it will be even stronger in the years to come, because we have some very, very exciting young players that will come through, push in the upcoming years, and then need maybe a little bit special attention as well to bridge that big gap that it is to go from academy football to the Premier League. We have Dean Brill coming into a new role as assistant goalkeeper coach. He was head of academy goalkeeper coaching. Again, it shows that we want to show both players, but also staff. It can not only coaches, it can also be in the medical, performance analysis, scouting, in all the departments. That if you are coming into our academy, getting the DNA under the skin, that we can have good, exciting pathways for coaches, specialists in this football club.
Thomas,
That's quite interesting. So.
We aren't just generating players, we're generating coaches as well.
No, that's good. But what's interesting is they've promoted the academy goalkeeping coach to our assistant goalkeeping coach. So that's quite good, because he's actually done quite a good job when you think about a lot of the keepers, the young keepers we have come through. Even
Totally
someone
agree.
like Austin. I mean, I don't know if he was there when Austin was in the academy, but Gunter doing very well.
Gunter Keeley, yeah.
Keeley. So he's clearly done a great job, and they're performing very well at the moment in various levels. So I think that's a real positive. So congratulations to him. I wonder what other coaches are going to start getting promoted. But that's really interesting and positive.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about the way that you line up your coaching staff. So you broke it down there into the different areas of the field. Is this usually the way that you go about building a coach's staff?
Yeah, it is. I believe it's very important to have combination between clear role description for the coaches, so they know what they are in charge of. So it's not like, okay, today what are we doing today? So no, they know the roles, they know what they need to execute, they know what they need to be on top of. But also, they need to be able to overlap each other and help and make sure that the most important thing is the training out there is world class. So we need to be with quality and intensity and focus. So that's the main bit. So I think clarity is important for everyone.
I don't know which coaches you'll bring in,
Look at that
how
high five
potentially
with
you'll go about
Vucevic.
things,
I
but
love it.
also what you'll do on the analysis front. So tell us a little bit about that in terms of the way that you'll be preparing for games and the way that you'll be preparing for pre-season.
Yeah, so in the analysis front, we also got Joe Newton in, that came from Brentford as well. So he will be like a coach analyst. So he will be the bridge between the analyst team and the coaching staff.
He's
so
going to
we
be
make
a
sure
coach
that
analyst.
everything is
For
aligned
analysing
in
coaches.
terms of training,
Wow.
matches, debrief, post, pre and post match, and how we prepare for the opponent. But just as much and how we debrief the game, because it's the way we play, our principles. That is the most important thing. But with the twist we use, or how we tweak it to the opponent.
Is there anything that you look out for in terms of the types of person that you want in your team?
It need to be people that understand that we are a unit and we need to work hard together. And yes, I know half of the coaching group. The other half I don't know. But so we need to work on that relationship. That's an ongoing process. So hopefully, when we know each other well, we know how we work together, how we are aligned, and then we get up to a very well-run engine that just deliver every day.
We're now starting to go into that bit which, I mean, I used to think of pre-season, when I heard players talking about pre-season, as the thing they hated the most in the world, right? Because it just meant running. But things have changed a lot. Preparation is slightly different now in the modern day. What does preparation look like as we look ahead to the next few weeks?
I don't know if I'm a modern coach or not, sometimes, but we started running today.
Set them up in the old school.
So I think old
Do you
school
think
is...
you're going to do any more of those suicide runs?
Oh, the Conte pre-season.
Getting Son and Kane to vomit their guts out. I don't think it's going to be that bad.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that, but keep going.
Still good school, so I think that's still important to have a bit of that. Now we had a running test today, and we'll have that again when the international is back, and probably also a little bit later down the season. But in general, it was a short test. Basically a 1K test. So, and if they did it well enough, they're below 3 minutes and 15. So that sounds easy, huh? Yeah, with turns, by the way. So one thing, that's done, and then it's football. Everything with the ball, everything is on that, and then we will top up with some runs, because I believe there's a big bit in that mental part of pushing. Yeah.
And you've got a little bit of time now before your first game. So our first pre-season game will be against Reading, and I guess the players gradually start to filter back in. How excited are you to get to that point where you've got the full group?
That's what I want. So I want everyone in, really compare them against each other, see, how's the mix, how's the relationship. Of course, I know the group in terms from looking from the outside, but it's different when you're on the inside and you work with them, you feel them, you understand them better. And we all have our own views on certain players or relationship, and it's up to me to find that perfect combination that make the team perform on the highest possible level.
Well, gents, thank you so much.
All right. Yeah, I think it's all obviously really positive, and I think it's all very, very exciting to see the coaching team that they're putting behind, and you're looking at Thomas Frank and the way he's going to manage it all. And I'm just excited to see it all come together, to be honest.
Yeah, I think key takeaways from that is just having specialists in different areas. I think also finding maybe out-of-the-box solutions in terms of relationships with players and different kind of positions. I think that's going to be very interesting to see. It was interesting to hear him talking about how tweaking, different things to suit different oppositions, and obviously that's what he was known for at Brentford. So that's going to be quite interesting. Encouraging stuff.
But there has been a tweet from Fabrizio Romano in the last 10 minutes regarding Mohamed Kudus. And he tweeted 7 minutes ago and has retweeted it since then as well. And he says, Tottenham keep advancing in talks for Mohamed Kudus as negotiations continue between all parties involved. Kudus wants Spurs as an absolute priority, as reported over the weekend, as he's agreed personal terms. So, I mean, it's still the same kind of update, but Romero just reinforcing the Kudus thing and not getting involved in the Wissa thing.
Yeah, and I think when it comes to, what's it called? When it comes to Kudus, there's obviously a lot of give and take about these negotiations. Some people saying Tottenham were expected to have an improved bid. Some people saying they're doubtful whether they're improving the bid. So I think these negotiations are going to be ongoing. There's going to be some toing and froing. You're going to hear conflicting things. But let's just hope Tottenham don't let this one slip through their fingers.
And in terms of Matt Law, he's also been at it, saying Tottenham continuing to make a breakthrough in talks for Mohamed Kudus, with Thomas Frank also keen on reuniting with Yoan Wissa. Newcastle are also had to have said to have an interest in Yoan Wissa, which we know Callum Wilson has left the club on a free, so there's a clear spot for him there. Which is very interesting. I think Yoan Wissa would be brilliant at Newcastle.
Yeah, perfect signing, perfect backup to Isaac.
Yeah, completely agree. And Paul O'Keefe as well.
He's saying West Ham wants 65 to 70 million for Kudus.
So the price keeps going up. That's the Tottenham tax that they were talking about.
Tax, yeah. And West Ham Central commented saying West Ham ex-employee said the same. So, I mean, yeah, that's probably the Tottenham tax there, that extra 5 million.
65 to 70, which means Spurs are around 15 million apart from the original bid. 50 million.
Yep.
Can
the
add-ons
need to be more.
Add-ons need to be actually achievable.
Yeah,
obviously. Like I don't take those add-ons into account because those add-ons just don't mean anything. They absolutely mean nothing, because you're talking about add-ons only if you win the Premier League and if you win the Champions League. So those add-ons are absolute rubbish. But the reality is that Romero, Matt Law saying that Spurs are continuing to try and find this breakthrough regarding Mohamed Kudus. Do you think a breakthrough will be made?
I don't know, man. I'm doubtful. I'm hopeful, but it's more hope than expectation. I don't expect one to be made.
It's a weird one, though, because everyone's like, oh, yeah, this is classic Spurs. Like, we just can't find a breakthrough, blah, 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 which it is. But then you are looking at other deals around the Premier League at the moment, and everyone seems to be a bit of an impasse. You look at Eze going to Arsenal. You look at Gyökeres going to Arsenal. You look at Mbeumo going to Manchester United. Clubs are, I mean, I know a lot of deals have been done already, but these deals are just kind of like rumbling on at the moment. Not really much happening.
Bit in limbo, but as you say, big deals have been done, so we just haven't done too many. We've done Tell, we've done Takai, I guess, but in terms of big deals, which City, Liverpool, Arsenal have done, we haven't quite done those level yet.
Just get the deal done, Tottenham. Like,
just pay the money.
Just pay the money. You know how much they want. You know how much it's going to impact the squad. Come on, guys. This is our last chance saloon to get someone of Prem quality, Prem proven through the door. This is literally the last chance. And he wants to come. How often have you said that? A Prem quality proven player wants to come through the doors at Tottenham. And not only will it be good for the squad, but it will also rile up the West Ham fan base so much that they're going to be protesting down outside the London Stadium. Like, this is just a perfect deal to do, in my opinion. Not only because it will give us on the pitch, but it will give us off the pitch as well.
I would love it, but let's see. As I said, there's just a lot going against this deal when it comes to West Ham and Chelsea now getting involved in the relationship between Tottenham and West Ham and a potential Tottenham tax, all these different things. So we need to overcome those. Look, maybe we can. I'm just not convinced we will. I'm just not convinced by it.
But that is the current news at this moment in time for Mohamed Kudus. Let us know your thoughts in the comments section below. And we're going to finish off playing a little game with you guys. We're going to bring up a variety of Tottenham kits, and we're just going to say the first player that comes to our minds when this kit gets revealed. And I want you guys to play along in the comment section with us as well. So let's start off. What's the first kit? The first kit. So the first kit is last year's. I mean, for me, the first player that comes to my mind is Lucas Bergvall.
Bergvall. I was going to say Decky. Decky's the first player coming to my mind, yeah.
Interesting. What are you guys saying? Brian Lamar saying Son, Johnson. Everyone's saying Johnson.
Yeah, Johnson makes sense.
Everyone's saying Johnson. What's his next kit? Oh,
the light blue last season.
See, I'm just seeing Son when I see that.
No, who am I seeing? I'm seeing Dane Scarlett. I don't know why.
Dane Scarlett. That's so
Dane
random.
Scarlett. He played in it against Brentford. I don't know. That's what I imagine.
Dane Scarlett. A lot of people saying
Dane Scarlett.
Kulusevski, Decky, Gray.
Decky makes a lot. Actually, I
Interesting.
understand Decky.
All right, what's the next one? That is
Ndombele, yeah. I see Ndombele,
Ndombele.
yeah, 100%. When he scored against Newcastle, that's
Yeah.
his only memory. I don't remember us wearing that kit too often.
I remember we went to an away game in the cup. Was it against Forest under Nuno wearing that kit?
Yeah, and Ndombele, no, for Wolves.
Wolves, that was it. Yeah.
And he balled out in that game as well.
Yeah. When he scored with that Sheffield United goal, were we wearing that kit?
When he scored against Sheffield United, no, that was a different season.
No, different season. All right, what's the next one? That is Soldado. All day. I've got Soldado and Paulinho.
Paulinho, yeah.
in my head.
Paulinho was my one. Yeah, I was going to think Paulinho. It's very Soldado.
That is so Soldado, that kit. Oh, what's this next one? Oh, there's only one guy for this one. That is Gareth Bale all day long.
100%. That's Gareth Bale all day, all night.
Some people say Moussa Dembele, Chadley, but nah.
That's Bale.
That's Gareth Bale all day long. What's the next one? Oh, I'm looking at Son.
I
Son
think
for me.
Delhi. Delhi rings.
I just picture Son
Delhi.
in that shirt when I see that shirt. That is such a Sonny shirt.
I think Delhi.
What's this next one? Oh, that's Klinsmann.
Klinsmann, yeah.
That's Klinsmann all day.
Or Dean
long.
Austin.
Dean Austin. Now that Dean Austin, that is so Klinsmann. Man. And I see Teddy as well.
Bit of Teddy. I see a bit of Teddy in there.
Yeah. Teddy Sheringham or Klinsmann for sure. What's the next one?
Oh, Lucas.
Lucas Moura.
Come on.
There is a bit of me that sees Lamella though.
Bit of Lamella.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see a bit of Lamella, but it's overriding one is Lucas.
Yeah, Lucas Moura is the obvious one, isn't it? Who's next?
That I see Lamella.
See, I'm seeing Lucas
seeing
Moura
Lamella.
as well. In that
You're
as well.
also seeing Lucas. I'm seeing Lamella. I'm definitely
I'm
seeing
seeing
Lamella.
Lucas Moura's hat trick against Huddersfield. All right, what's this next one? Who do you see in that one? You know who I see?
Michael Brown?
No. I'm seeing Andy Reid.
Andy Reid.
Yeah.
Oh, I like that. I like that. Actually, no, I don't see Michael Brown in that. You know, I see Mido when he made his
Mido.
debut. That's what I see.
I had
Mido.
that shirt with Mido on the back. No,
Yeah.
it wasn't that shirt I had. I don't.
No, the one with the blue sleeves
Yeah.
and the.
Yeah, I don't know
Mido.
why I see Andy Reid because it was such a tight fit skin.
Yeah, that's why.
thing,
He's
and he just
bulging
stands
out
out
of
because he
it.
just bulged out of it. What's the other one? Oh, this or Raz. I see
Scott
Ben
Parker.
Cotto,
Really? I see
Yeah.
Scott Parker.
Scotty P.
Scott Parker, yeah.
For some
That's
reason,
the
I
shirt
don't
I
know
see.
why I see Ben Cotto.
Oh, Freddie Canute for the one before. That's a good shout, actually. This one. Ooh.
I see Delhi.
Yeah, I see. I was thinking Delhi as well.
I see Delhi in the dreadlocks.
Yeah, dreadlocks. Yeah, I can't really think too many times we actually wore this shirt.
Such a great shirt,
It's
that.
a lovely one. We barely wore it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Delhi.
Oh, I see Kane in that. Did Kane even wear that?
How many times did we wear this shirt?
Not many.
I think he wore it in maybe a pre-season game or something.
Yeah. For some reason, I just see Kane in it.
Yeah, I don't see anyone.
No one.
Yeah, no one. I don't see nothing coming to me. A bit of it. I see a hint of Kane, but
The pajama shirt.
yeah, move on from that one.
This is the last one.
Who
do you see in that? Van der Vaart.
Easy. Van der
For
Vaart.
some reason, the first player that came to my mind was Wilson Palacios.
Palacios.
Did
Interesting.
he even wear that?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he did, didn't he? For some reason, Palacios comes to my mind when I see that.
that's Van der Vaart.
But let us know who comes into your mind seeing those Spurs shirts. But apart from that, that is it from us today. A few bombers, a lot of transfer news, and let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. But thank you everyone for joining us today. Like, subscribe, and
Oh,
comment.
1 minute, just quickly.
Oh, another bomber?
Bomber. Sam Tabatal. He's chiming in on the Wissa deal. Brentford have told Tottenham they must pay at least 50 million.
50 million!
For Wissa. Get out of
Run
here.
away fast.
Get out of
Tottenham,
here.
Run away. 50 million for Yoan Wissa. That is nuts. I told you they'd want a
Nah,
pretty
that's
penny for
just
him.
a negotiation tactic, I think.
That's a pretty high negotiation bar to
Starting
start
at
from. 50 million.
Yeah, 50 is ridiculous.
With 1 year left in his deal.
Yeah, it's madness.
That is mad. But that is the news. 50 million. Brentford ITKs are saying, and standard journalist, I think now, Sam Tabatal, very close to the Brentford situation, but he is claiming that Brentford want 50 million for Yoan Wissa, and I think that's just going to be a price not even to start negotiations, just to walk away. I think Tottenham will be like 50 million. Yeah, you can have 20 or nothing.
100%. Get out of it, 50 million.
That is the situation. We started off the stream assuming that Wissa looks more likely than Kudus. Now Kudus is looking more likely than Wissa again.
It's flipped again.
So it has switched once again. But let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. Thank you everyone for joining us today. Like, subscribe, and comment. And as always,
Come on, you Spurs.